Hello, this is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and I want to talk to you about why, more than ever, we need a professional jury system. I've spoken about this so many times, and I've had people say, Pat, can you do a whole video just dedicated to why you think there should be a professional jury system? So this is it. And I'm being propelled to do this because of the Karen Reed trial. Uh, I see the stuff I see on the internet tells me what kind of people are going to end up on the jury and what they're going to have to deal with, and how the system is going to work with people that I see every day on the internet, lacking logic, lacking understanding of evidence, full of emotions and mob mentality. All you need is one of those people to be on that jury and say, okay, I think maybe there's a reasonable doubt. Now, okay, reasonable doubt is fine if the jury is able to determine by being there through the trial, listening to the prosecution's case, listening to the defense, and they're able to determine very logically at the end of the trial whether there should be reasonable doubt or not, whether there is reasonable doubt or not. And then they can come up with their verdict of guilty or not guilty. I don't have a problem with this. But I have seen on the internet so much outrageous nonsense about Free Karen Reed, the accusations going against the McCabe's and the Alberts and everybody in creation that ever lived in that area, the absolute hostile mob mentality that who are pointing at people saying they're guilty, but she's not, and calling people liars, but she's not paying attention to, let's just calm down. Let's let the trial play out. Let's look at all the evidence. I'm seeing so much, it's a horror show. And because of that, and I've been called every name in the book because so far I'm saying I don't see that the defense has a very good, what they're presenting to me, this whole conspiracy theory doesn't hold water. And I've been told, oh my God, the defense doesn't have to prove anything, Pat Brown. Yeah, they don't have to prove anything, but they have to prove that, they have to prove that the prosecution doesn't have a case. And if they're going to say that there's a conspiracy theory, they're trying to prove that. And if they're trying to say there's no evidence to support that she was involved, they have to some extent, prove that to the jury. So you can, whatever term you want to say prove means, no. The whole reason the defense is in the court is to prove that the prosecution has a bad case. That's their point. So yes, the prosecution is actually trying to prove something, but so is the defense. All right. Now, so I'm seeing in this case a nightmare where that jury is in an interesting situation, trying to understand what evidence is and try not to let emotions get involved in, try not to let the mob of on the internet and in the area just mess up their entire thinking process. We saw it with Casey Anthony. We saw, my God, that was a pretty much open and shut case with a highly unlikable defendant who clearly had her daughter in the trunk of her car. And all the evidence to me pointed that she killed it on purpose. But they had Jose Baez to mess up their minds. And they went, well, maybe. And maybe her daddy did something. Okay. Unbelievable. Professional jury would never have allowed that to happen. OJ Simpson, my God, was there evidence. But because of issues over the dislike of the police system in California and Rodney King and race issues, the jury went with emotions and political viewpoints and found him innocent. Unbelievable. So we have two cases where a professional jury would have probably found both of them guilty. And I'm not saying a professional jury might not find somebody, a civilian jury can sometimes find somebody guilty, and a professional jury would not find them guilty because they would say, look, that defendant is a piece of scum, and I don't want him anywhere near my family, but I don't see the evidence that he committed the crime. I've seen juries, civilian juries, convict somebody just because they didn't like the dude. And the evidence was weak. So I've seen it go both ways. But what we need with a jury is to have it be a jury that is capable of using logic and not emotion, and also has the ability to understand evidence, to understand the law, to understand the things they need to understand in order to determine guilt or innocence. Now, I've had people accuse me, oh my God, Pat Brown, you don't believe in the civilian jury system? That's because you don't believe in the Constitution. The Constitution does not say we have to have a civilian jury system. It says the person has a right to a jury. A jury of what? A jury is simply not one judge sitting there going, guilty. The idea was to have a jury, a number of people, to review everything and not allow just the one guy in the government to put you away forever. It does not say you have to have a civilian jury or that you have to have a jury of your peers, whatever the heck that even means these days. I don't even know who are my peers. Does anybody know who my peers are? Does the people have to match my skin color? Because I have a multiracial family, so do I only have white people as my peers? What about my status? Are my peers profilers? Are my peers like mechanics? What are they? Who the heck are these peers? I don't know. Is it a monetary thing? Who are these peers? I don't know. I honestly do not know. And so the whole concept of they have to be your peers is fairly meaningless and convoluted, and that they can't have training. There's nothing in the Constitution that says a jury can't be a trained group of people who know something. So I'll get back to the training issue in a minute. So I want to read a couple things to you all who people just have never heard about the concept of professional juries and why a civilian jury is kind of like, in my opinion, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of. 12 people off a bus stop is what I always call them. And I'll just say this before I read this to you. If you were going to get on a plane and there was an issue with something wrong with the engine of that plane, and you had two people there, and they were both people who supposedly had something to do with airline mechanics. One says, if we fix this, the plane will fly properly. The other one says, that's not going to do the job. You get 12 people who know nothing about planes, nothing about mechanics. You get a school teacher, a librarian, even a profiler. I don't know a damn thing about mechanics. Profiler, all these people have nothing to do with planes or mechanics. And you get them to try to figure out which one of those two experts is right. And when they decide the guy that says the plane can fly is correct, I want to know this. Do you want to get on that plane and take a chance that those 12 uneducated people in plane mechanics pick the right expert? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be going home. I'm going to get my car. I'm out of there. I'm not taking that chance because I have two experts who disagree with each other and I'm too stupid to know the difference because I don't know anything about mechanics or planes. I don't want to take a chance on somebody I don't know. Now, if there were 12 people there that all knew plane mechanics and these two experts said something and all those 12 people said that dude's right, I'm going to be pretty comfortable. But 12 people off a bus stop telling me whether to get on that plane or not? Sorry, I'm not cooperating. All right, let me read to you what I want to read to you. All right, here is I have two places I want to read you something from. Very, very rational. Jurors have always been a random sampling of individuals who have been tasked with a very weighty responsibility, rendering verdicts in complicated, and this is very important. The point is how complicated it is these days, especially in homicide cases. It's so complicated with all the physical evidence and behavioral evidence. It's terribly complicated. Rendering verdicts in complicated civil and criminal cases that often demand solid grounding in science, finance, economics, psychology, etc. Yes, in order to be able to know who is telling the truth, in order to understand which witnesses you should go with and which witnesses you think are lying, for a jury to understand which one of the experts put on by the prosecution or the defense is telling you stuff that makes any sense, you have to have, in homicide cases, a solid grounding in criminal profiling, crime scene analysis, and forensics, and the law. 12 people off a bus stop do not have that. They may be the most well-meaning, most wonderful human beings in the world, and God bless them for sitting through cases that probably ruined their lives because they had to sit there for a month or two away from their families, getting paid piddly crap, and then having to live with what their determinations were. I feel sorry for anybody who's on a jury. God bless you. I feel sorry for you. I mean, it's almost like servitude. It's like that should be unconstitutional. You're forced to be on a jury because you're a decent citizen. Okay, let me go on. often demand solid grounding in science, finance, economics, psychology, etc. Why has our society, and more particularly our legal system, been comfortable with assigning this critical responsibility to those who may not have the appropriate education or critical thinking skills required for that assignment? How can these people thoughtfully analyze, no less adjudicate, on complex evidence, factual subtleties, and judges' detailed instructions? Well, they can't. They're 12 people off a bus stop. And from what I'm seeing on the internet, the Free Karen Reed group, which I'm okay if you believe she's not guilty, but the stuff I'm seeing, the illogic, absolute illogic from these people tells me I don't want you on a jury, but you might be on there. There might be some of you on that jury or one of you on that jury. The consequences are often predictable. People who don't understand facts and evidence vote their emotions and prejudices. Exactly. When you can't understand evidence, you go with your emotions and your prejudices. That's what you do. I have been accused of being a complete moron and a shill for the state because I say, so far, the defense to me has a ridiculous conspiracy theory, and I'm seeing the evidence pointing to that she was involved in one way or the other, whether it was premeditated or whether it was she was just DUI and emotional and stacked up and whacked her boyfriend. As another matter. But I do believe that the evidence points to her involvement, and I have been attacked for that. Wendy Murphy, who is a lawyer, has been attacked unbelievably, and Jen Coffin, I always forget her name, Coffin Dapper, has also been attacked hugely. She's a retired FBI agent. The things that are saying against her are amazing. All of us three women are just the worst things ever. Because why? Because people do not understand facts and evidence. And because they don't, they're going with emotions and prejudices. I hate the police. The government's a conspiracy, bunch of conspiracy people. Whatever. They're going with that. Emotions. I feel bad for her, so therefore everybody is against her. And therefore, oh my God, all those people in that house are colluding to frame her, even though they have no reason to do that. That they actually, unbelievable. The evidence points to John O'Keefe never even entered the bloody house. There's not one shred of evidence he entered the house. Every bit of evidence is that he died right there on the lawn, right next to the curb. Okay. Now, let me go further. Adding to the problem, those serving on juries are sometimes required to take weeks away from work and family. This is true. It's unbelievable how much time that you have to give up. You can try to claim that you can't do it, and sometimes they will accept that. I'll give you a little hint here, guys, just so you know. Your jury notice that comes in is never by certified mail. You can simply say you never got it, and they can't prove otherwise. It's really actually easy to get out of jury duty. Just say I never saw it. I did answer the last jury duty thing because I went once to the courthouse and wasted an entire day. And they said, "What is your job?" I said, "Criminal profile." And they said, "Thank you, I'm excused." And I'm like, I knew they were never going to take me. And the next time it came in, I just said, "Look, I don't believe in the jury system. I don't believe in the civilian jury system. I believe in a professional jury system. So I don't want to participate in a civilian jury system where you pick 12 people off a bus stop. I don't want to be one of them." And they just let me go. So that worked. But a lot of people they think they want to do their duty, and they're also afraid that if they don't do it, they're going to be jailed. And theoretically, if you refuse to do it when you pretend, you can get some bad things happening. Anyway, it is hard to imagine proper decision making not being adversely influenced by the desire to return to normal life. So now they're putting you in a jury where you're there. Sometimes you're sequestered, so you can't even get home. You're just living this miserable life in a freaking motel room, and they don't put you up in a nice place. So you're in like some motel room. It's all miserable, and you want to go home. So by the time you get down to the verdict, whatever, let's go. Let's just get this over with. You want to return to a normal life. I am unaware of any other professional responsibility where workplace ethics, employee competency, and fairness to the consumer are deemed as unimportant as they are in our jury system. Absolutely. Doesn't matter what miserable workplace you provide for those jurors. You can torture those jurors. You can make them look at horrific videos and pictures and things they've never seen in their life before, and just hurt them to the heart. You can bore them out of their gourd. You can make them be trapped for days on end like prisoners. But that's okay. That workplace is fine. Employee competency. Oh, yeah. Well, when you go to hire somebody at a company, you actually want them to have skills. But, juries, no skills required. As a matter of fact, the more skills you have, the less the defense wants you on there, and they're going to find a way to make sure you're not there. Hey, let's have incompetent people. And fairness to the consumer. The consumer could be the defendant or the family of the victim. But it doesn't matter that we have a competent jury to come up with a proper conclusion for both the defendant and the family of the victims. That doesn't matter. Unbelievable. This reality leads us to ponder that someday our lives and livelihoods may be in the hands of inconvenienced, disgruntled, incompetent peers. Yeah, I'm terrified of a civilian jury. I don't want them. I want a professional jury if I'm ever accused of something. Speaking of peers, contrary to popular belief, nowhere in our U.S. Constitution or in the 6th and 7th Amendment is there any mention of a jury of one's peers. The only directives are that there be a jury and it be impartial. And by the way, if you want impartial, you want professionals. I have studied so many cases. I have no concern whether, I don't know who this woman is, Karen Reed. I've never met her. It doesn't matter to me whether she's guilty or innocent as far as my analysis goes. I mean, I analyze case after case after case. I don't have a lot of emotions in it. I don't know the people. I'm not connected to the area. I'm very, very impartial. Professionals who analyze these things are much more likely to be impartial than people who are from the community, who have an issue over race or religion, or I'm a woman and that she's a woman and she's been abused. I hate police. Those are all things that make them not impartial at all. An added unfairness of the jury system is that it can be skillfully manipulated by rich defendants, lawyers. Oh, heck yeah. Who can pay for high-priced jury consultant firms. Yeah, so, you go to trial and what you get is some Jose Baez. A Jose Baez who is really good at what he does. Or you can get some guy who doesn't know, he's not really that good. And sometimes a prosecutor might be that guy who just works for the jurisdiction, is not really the greatest prosecutor. Or you just might be a poor defendant and you get some kind of, he's available. That guy. He's only 25 years old, never worked a case in his life, but hey, he's free. That's concerning. If you had a professional jury system, at least they would know what they're looking at as far as when people are presenting cases, whether they're high-powered lawyers or not. But civilian juries are easily manipulated by really top lawyers. Okay, so that's true. They have high-priced jury consultant firms to make sure that the jury gets on there that they want. These companies advise them how to select potentially persuadable jurors, those who will be swayed more by emotions than facts. This is not what our justice system is supposed to be about. How is it that we don't have a problem with this? I cannot believe this is one of the most crazy things I've ever experienced. When I see people go, oh my God, the civilian jury system is like, we are the best country, US, because we have a civilian jury system. I'm thinking, this is the stupidest jury system ever. And you sit there and say it's great, and it makes zero sense. Is there no logic and understanding that 12 people off a bus stop do not make a good jury? They're just people without training who we have no confidence in can actually come to a proper conclusion. And a lot of people will try to say, oh, well, they're smarter than you think, and they care, and they, oh, yes, so they're going to think it through. Yes, I've seen this on the internet. I've seen the level of stupidity on the internet is shocking. It's shocking. And so therefore, no, I don't have a lot of confidence that 12 of those people aren't going to be what I see in the Free Karen Reed stuff. I am not. Or the people that let her off or let him off. No, I have no confidence. So those are my thoughts on that. Yes, we need a professional jury system. What should happen? They should get a year or two of training. They should go to professional jury school, and they will then work on many cases. There will be a lottery system as far as who gets on what case. So, okay, you work on this case, you work on that case. And these people will have training in criminal profiling, crime scene analysis, the legal issues, The judge, instead of just spewing out a whole bunch of this is how you're going to handle this case to a bunch of people who know nothing about the law and try to understand what the hell the judge is talking about, these will be people who have actually studied what the judge is talking about and be ready when they walk into court. Not get that at the end of the trial. They'll learn that before they go into court. They'll understand the evidence issues before they go into court. They will have studied all of this, and they will just be chosen randomly for these cases, and they will end up in a professional jury on this case and that case. And they will get paid to do it. That'll be their job. And then they can go to case after case after case working on analyzing evidence with the other people instead of 12 people off a bus stop. It's insane. We need a professional jury system, and we need it now. Anyway, those are my thoughts. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown. If you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. You asked for me to give my opinion on this, and I finally done that. Thank you.